Welcome to Let's Talk About It. Broadcasting live from North Nashville, Tennessee. North Nashville spans from Metro Center down to the border of Bicentennial Mall, including the neighborhoods of Bordeaux, Buena Vista, Parkwood Estates, Germantown, Haynes Manor, Jefferson Street, Fisk Park, Cumberland Gardens, Oak Valley, Enchanted Hill, and many others. It's perhaps best known for the 3 universities housed here, including Tennessee State University, Fisk University, and Meharry Medical College. North Nashville is also home to the Tennessee Titans practice facility. The Tennessee Titans will begin construction on an expansion project at St. Thomas Sports Park, which will almost double its current footprint in Nashville's Metro Center neighborhood. The plan includes 60,000 square feet in additions, including a new building situated along one of the practice fields, and major renovation of spaces within the existing 75,000 square foot building.
Now live from North Nashville, Dr. William Head. Let's talk about it.
Today, we have with us, and I've talked too long today, my good friend, Miss Christine Williams. Chris has written her biography, and it is now being published. Chris, you and I have talked about your book on several different occasions, and talked about the what it pretends and what you think about the situation. Tell the people that are listening your take on how you found it necessary for you to tell your story.
Well, first, thank you all for having me. I want to say that I found it necessary to tell my story. So many times, I hear people talk about their family, their grandparents, and they really don't know who they were. Where did they graduate from? Even as much as what cities that they lived in. Just take myself, for instance. My grandmother, I talk about. I can't tell you, other than I know that she was born in Fayetteville, Tennessee. She was not educated. She could not read or write. That was very interesting to me, because in my story, there are details that I know for a fact what happened. But I'm almost sure if my grandmother was living today, she would be 120 years old. So I'm almost sure that she went to an all-black school. Did she have an opportunity to go to school, or was she made to work? I don't know her story. So in order for our children and grandchildren, and I'm so happy to say that I've lived long enough to have a great grandbaby. She just arrived. So
congratulations.
Thank you. It is important to me to tell my story. I love the idea of my book being in the hands of the publisher, but I want my children to know not just who I am, but who I was as a child growing up, and the circumstances that I had to go through can answer those questions. Because sometimes in just normal conversation, family gatherings, we just don't talk about that. We don't ask the questions. And then I find with my parents and my grandparents, it's too late now. And there's nobody else to tell their story. So it's kind of like, it's my legacy to leave to my children. If nothing else, my grandchildren and greats to come will be able to pick a book up and say, this lady right here was my grandmother. This is how she was raised. This is the schools that she went to. So those type things. That means a lot to me.
Of late, and over time, the histories of black people all over this country are lost because of the lack of attention to the history, right? Whether it be an oral history or a written history. I am lucky enough to have quite a bit of my parents' history in hand. And as you say, past my parents, I'm sort of unable to give you anything more. And I'd like for my children to know who their grandparents were, who their great-grandparents, as far as I can tell, were. So I understand your need to leave a legacy and to leave information, solid information, as to who your family members were. Now, your story is one of overcoming.
Yes.
Tell us more about overcoming the inadequacies of your education.
Well, it is really, really hard as an adult to be able to admit that even though I went to school for, I think I was going into my 9th grade, my first year of high school, when I decided that, this is enough. I cannot read. There are just fundamental things that I did not learn, and at this particular time, I felt like it's too late. You can't take a 9th grader and teach them phonics. So when teachers would pass me on, my parents were sending me to school under the notion that I'm going to get everything I need, and that's their job, is to educate me. So they didn't retest me when I came home, and unfortunately, I wasn't from that family that books was readily all around the house, magazines, and read this. My mother cooked by memory. She didn't read recipes. So they felt real comfortable that, I was getting what I need. And then when I was integrated into an all-white school, my mother thought that was great because white schools had better books that hadn't already been written in, that pages weren't tore out of them. That was, it's just a perfect situation, because now my daughter is going to have a bigger opportunity than the all-black school. But sadly to say, that's where the real education, and that's where the village and the community played a part in my siblings' education, my older siblings that graduated from an all-black school. So that was really, really difficult. And as a grown woman, you're not, whether I'm a woman or a grown man, those are things that you're ashamed of and you tend to hide. And until you overcome that and realize that I didn't do this to me. This was done to me. Then when you're not embarrassed anymore and you really feel like, okay, then I can't stay like this. I have to start getting help for myself. And then I start seeking help. And once I was able to say to my mom and my dad, it's okay. Once I forgive them, because as I'm getting older, I blame the school system, I blame my parents. You're just trying to find blame to figure out, why did this happen? But it did happen. I started to seek help for myself, and now I am publishing my first book. I am extremely excited about that. It is in the hands of a publisher, and it is in the editing stage. So my story is going to be out there for the world to read.
As of yet, is untitled, but we are hoping that it will be out in...
I'm hoping that it'll be out end of summer. I'm hoping. So, just keep tuning in, because it's coming. And I really want as many people as possible to read my story, because I am proud of myself. I'm proud of what I have accomplished in spite of all the odds that were stacked against me. I was able to persevere through, and I'm proud of that. And it has been a struggle. It has not been easy under no circumstances.
You continue to struggle, and you have overcome a lot of the obstacles that a school system that did not care for you at all.
Absolutely, absolutely. When I was in the first grade, and the teacher would have me doing certain things around the room, and for a treat, and because I was a good little girl, and I did as my mother told me to, where she would tear a page out of a coloring book and give me one crayon, not even the box of crayons. So whatever I colored, that's the color the whole doggone picture is going to be. All she would say to me is stay in the lines. And I was doing exactly what my mother told me. Be a good little girl, do as you're told. So at first grade, I'm 6? So I don't have an idea of what's going on until later on. And then as, they pass me on. And it's the funniest thing, Coach Head, to be passed on, and you know what you know. You know what's in your head, and you know what you know. And to be passed on to the second grade, and it's more the same, and then be passed on to another grade. I was never left behind. I was not left behind because I didn't master these particular skills. I was passed right on. And then after a while, you're not a little girl anymore. I am humiliated by my classmates, by the teacher that would deliberately call you up to the board and say, do so-and-so. And no, you feel like just climbing up under the chair, just run out the room. And in elementary, you are in like a one classroom situation. But once you go to junior high, now you get to change classes. You have multiple classes. So now I'm old enough and big enough to understand I'm not going in that classroom because I'm going to be embarrassed. I'm going to cry. I want to go to the bathroom. I don't want my peers looking at me like that. And the teacher just being mean because the teacher know what you know. And the teacher just being mean. So now I'm trying to find ways that, I ain't going in that class. I think I'm going to skip that today. Now I'll go to art. Because, I got that.
I can draw. Yeah.
I got that down pretty good, Yes, I'm excited about being able to have written my autobiography and to be able to tell my story. And I hope many people learn from it. And because it's just not something that happened to me in 1960, I witnessed children today that can't hardly read.
Prior to going to first grade at your elementary school, you were in a preschool where there were black teachers and black children.
Oh, yes. And
that
was my very first. I was in kindergarten, And when I was in kindergarten, it was all black school, Meg's, right here in Nashville. My oldest siblings went to that school. My oldest sister graduated from that school. And I literally was beginning to learn, my phonics. I was beginning to learn 2-letter words, putting, short sentences together. And then the very, very next year is when Nashville, I'm not sure if it was the very first year that they ever done it, but I know for our particular neighborhood and area, when I went to the first grade, is when they integrated me into Ross Elementary. It was on the other side of Gallatin Road. We lived on the Meg School side. We lived on the back hill side of East High School. And so when we had to go across Gallatin Road, mostly all of that area was predominantly white area. And when in my first grade class, there was 2 black little girls, me and another little girl. And so I knew right away after completing the first grade that this was not going well for me. Going into the second grade was, like I say, it was more of the same. So by the time I get to the second grade, absolutely everything that my education started with my black kindergarten teacher, I had forgotten all of that. So there was no, recapping or anything, because I went right into the school doing other stuff that where I should have been in the reading circles, should have been, doing math, but no, it didn't. That was not like that for me.
You just mentioned something I wanted to ask you. While you were keeping your coloring inside the lines, what was the rest of the class doing?
Well, now that I'm a grown woman and I look back on it, they were being taught. They were, they were sitting in reading circles, with their little reading books. I never got one. She didn't pass that out to me. She sit me in a corner, and again, like I thought I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, but now when I look back on it, it was like punishment. It was just like punishment. It was like they say today, time out, and then you would often stop coloring. At least I did. It was just 2 little black girls in the first grade. I would stop coloring and I'd look over, and I was always curious is what they were doing and when it would be my time. And my time never came.
Yeah, you said that the teacher gave you and the other little girl a cloth, a rag.
Yeah. We were the cleaning crew as well. Mm-hmm.
So you're a youngster who had a decent experience in kindergarten that should have led to a better than average experience in first grade, who found first grade to be of no value whatsoever.
Yeah, that was absolutely it. I actually can tell you, starting into the all-black school, I felt very comfortable, because, keep in mind, there were not white people that lived in my neighborhood. I didn't really even see white people. Now they didn't shop at the stores that we shopped at. My mama shopped at Buy-Right. And whenever I went to the store, I can't remember now unless it was the man that was cutting the meat or the manager that owned the store, so I wasn't really, I wasn't raised up around white people in my neighborhood. So when I was at Meg's in kindergarten, it was an all-black school. All the kids, I knew the kids that lived in my neighborhood. My mother knew all the teachers because they taught my siblings before me. I had 3 brothers and a sister before me. And so all those teachers were there, and, you know, Mama knew them, you know. So it was very different.
And a first grader goes, let me back that up a little bit. A youngster who's just come out of a very nurturing situation where people actually care and who are approachable by the child and the family, into a situation where you knew absolutely nobody, your parents knew nobody, and as far as your education, nobody was teaching you.
Right, yeah. I mean, in Ross Elementary, in my first grade, I don't remember ever seeing at this particular time, maybe before I left Ross, but in the first, second, and third grade, I do not remember seeing a black teacher in the whole building. The teacher that I had was an older lady. I do know that, perhaps older than my mother, and she looked very mean, and I was scared of her. I was actually scared of her. And because she just, I mean, you could, you know, it's one thing I've heard many people say, you can forget a lot of stuff, but you can never forget how someone makes you feel.
Absolutely.
And I felt terrified in that school. So a lot of times when she put me in a corner, or she say color, or Chris, you need to wipe out the windowsills, it was okay with me. I mean, because I didn't know that I didn't have a voice. I couldn't. How do you speak up? How do you speak up at that age and say, I want to read too?
And had you spoken up, would that have created anything positive?
It absolutely wouldn't. The other young lady that was in my class, the other little black girl, would often tell me, sometimes, Chris, don't say nothing. You know, because I remember a couple of incidents that we really didn't do anything. I can't think of anything that we really done. And she'd call you to the desk, and she'd had a little ruler, and she'd say, hold your hand out. And she'd just pop your hand, you know, and I'm thinking, what did I do? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that early on was enough fear for me to not say nothing. You know, I'm like, okay, maybe she's right. You know, maybe I shouldn't say anything.
Maybe I shouldn't be here. That's the logical conclusion. When you think back to the fact that you were in a situation that was charged to teach you the basics, the basic reading, writing, and arithmetic of the time, and you were relegated to being a janitorial person, or you were stuck in a corner with one page out of a coloring book and one crayon. Did it ever cross your mind that this wasn't right?
No. It just didn't. Maybe a few years down in elementary, but certainly not the first and the second grade, because I don't know what to expect. Okay. I don't know when it was going to be my time. I'm still thinking every day that it's going to be my time.
Sooner or later, you're gonna get to be in the reading circle.
That's right. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, well, and then as time passed by, it just doesn't happen. And when you start off in kindergarten, first grade, you're on an even playing field. None of your peers know a whole lot. Now, of course, there was smarter kids than others, or kids that learned more at home before they got to kindergarten or before they got to the first grade. But everybody's right there in the same area. And then you keep getting promoted on, and all these other kids are mastering their skills, and one day you wake up and you sitting in the 4th grade, and if she wrote my name on a piece of paper and sit it on my desk, I wouldn't be able to read it.
Wow.
So that's, so now my eyes are wide open. Now I'm not just looking at the teacher, I'm looking at Brenda and Linda and Johnny. Are they looking at me? Do they see? You know what I'm saying? So now my eyes is wide open, and I'm looking at all my peers, and they looking at me. And, so you just want to and then after a while, I would sometimes tell my mom, and it just, it just didn't sink in. It just didn't sink in. And, again, like I've said to you before, when I understood how I should forgive my mom, because I felt I had to forgive her because she didn't know. So, and when I learned to do that, because my mama did her job. She did her job. No, we didn't have books around the house. We really didn't. We didn't even take the newspaper. So there was nothing for us to read anyway. So, but my mother cleaned us up, gave us our breakfast, we got clothes on, and she sent us to school every day. So every day, that's where I'm really supposed to get my education at, regardless of what my mama and daddy decided to teach me at home. And the law says that, your child is 5 years old, 5.5, 6 years old. They supposed to be in kindergarten. She couldn't have kept me home if she wanted to, because she's supposed to send me to school. She sent me to school every day. But again, when I decided that she did her job, they didn't do their job, and unfortunately, even when I went back and said one or two things, it's like, oh, you one of the ones that fell through the cracks. I hear teachers say that today. I hear principals say that today. You fell through the cracks. That's not acceptable.
No,
that is not acceptable. So,
well, it's fairly obvious that your elementary school years rolled into your middle school years as you got a little older and got in the 5th and 6th grade and 7th grade with a deficit in reading, math, everything that you were supposed to do, be able to do when you got to that level, had been left on the shelf somewhere.
Yeah.
And you had not been taught. You'd been caught. You'd been caught in the web of what was going on, the social upheaval that was going on right then with the civil rights movement. Do you think, had you been able to stay in an all-black setting, that you would have been better off than you were with the integration of the schools?
Oh, I absolutely do. I say that all the time. Integration at that particular time, it just wasn't the right thing to do. The white schools and the systems, they didn't want us. And once you send your child to a school and they in the hands of the teacher and that school system, 6 to 7 hours a day, you're a parent, you don't know what they're being taught, you don't know what is being said, you have no clue. And that's where I say, when I went my early years, when I started, that was the village, that was the community, and the community cared a little bit more. Those white teachers did not want us there. And they decided before we ever got there that they may send them here, but I ain't teaching them nothing. That was decided before I ever got there.
I've heard you say that before.
So,
and you said that you heard a teacher actually say that.
Yeah, and you know, just to let you guys know, soon my book will be titled. Soon my book will be published, and I don't want to just sit here and tell you the whole entire book
I don't
because
want you
it
to
is.
tell. I want everybody
so
to be
much.
tantalized by what you're saying.
It is so much more than you probably really could imagine, and the story needs to be told. It's my life story, and I have decided to tell it, regardless of the backlash or people, thinking less than or whatever. That does not matter to me anymore.
That is irrelevant at this point.
Exactly, because like I have said, against unbelievable odds.
Absolutely.
I am okay. I am okay, and I'm ready to tell how I got to be okay.
How I got over it. It is an atrocity. Given the stories that you've shared with me, that we won't share here, about that process, the interactions you had, the crippling effect of not getting the building blocks of reading, writing, arithmetic in elementary school at the lowest level, how it played into several episodes of your life that are quite interesting. And the book, once people start reading, is probably going to be one of those you can't put down because it makes you so blasted angry. But is there... No, I won't ask you to share anything that we've talked about. You see your sons who've gone through high school. You now have your niece who now calls you Aunt Mama. That is doing extremely well.
Yes.
And you have become very diligent about your children being treated in a for lack of another word, a constructive way.
Yes. Yes.
If you were to be able to talk to parents directly, what would you say is the main concern that you have with parenting youngsters in public school?
Well, first and foremost, know what your children know. With my sons, with my biological sons, when they were in elementary, and of course, I'm a young mother, and I can't read, but guess what? I made them read to me. I didn't care if I didn't know a word they was reading. But when I'm cooking, or okay, read. Okay, it's time to read. They may have missed a word or two, but they read. I took newspapers. I took magazines. I had probably 3 sets of encyclopedias, because when I grew up, we didn't have that stuff in our house. So if you don't have it there, then the chances are that they're not going to be good readers. So my children, they're great readers. All 3 of my sons have graduated from high school. I have my oldest grandson that just graduated from Western Kentucky. And I'm very proud of that, because though I didn't graduate from high school, but my children did. And though they didn't graduate from college, my grandson did. So the odds are his children graduating from college is going to be huge. And though where I come from with my parents, I have moved the bar. They have moved the bar. And the bar is just going to keep getting higher and higher. And that's why I write my book, to leave my legacy, so they'll be able to read it to their children, and their children will be able to read it, and they'll be able to say, that was my grandmama. And I feel very proud that I am a part of their success. I'm a part of my grandson being able to graduate from college, because it's important that you know that they learn that, you know. So I'm just
there's a term called intergenerational trauma that people of color have dragged through 300 years of slavery.
Yes.
And another 150 years of Jim Crow, sharecropping, chain gangs, and now the prison industrial complex. We're no longer slaves that are forced to labor freely, but we are now put in jail for trumped up charges. Mm-hmm. The system eats our young men up.
Yes.
And young women. So the cause of education now is almost back to the cause of education right after slavery.
Yep. Yeah.
And if we don't heed that call, we will find ourselves repeating our own history. The history of this country has been fraught with all kinds of elements that put people of color in the margin. We're on the edge of everything.
Yeah.
And the refusal of state legislatures to allow people to discuss freely race as a entity in the success or non-success of our children is ludicrous. So if you have one thing that you would tell about your experience, what would it be?
Well, I just would say that it was extremely hard trying to overcome so much. But I want to say this before you go off the air. I don't want people to misunderstand that it is a campaign against white teachers, white schools. It is a campaign that was against integration and what happened to me. And it may not have happened to everybody, but it certainly happened to me, and I couldn't tell you how many people that may have suffered that just literally stayed in silence and didn't fare well in life. You know, I've been blessed because I never gave up. I've had a lot of down times, but I just kept going, and I wanted to put that out there because I just don't want people to think, you know, well, this lady is she just hate white people, and no. I would love to be their ally. That's what I would love to be. But you got to give me reason and something to say. But if you push me to the side and you don't accept my diversity, then I can't be your ally.
My take on that is, if you hate me because of my color, it's your problem, not mine. So you're the one that's wasting time in a situation that you cannot resolve. I'm not going to change colors, and you're going to be ignorant the rest of your life. So that's that person's problem. Well, I think we're about out of time. How about that, boss man? Boss man said it's about time to go.
Time to wrap
I
it up.
dare some of you folks who experience some of the same situations when you walked into your previously all-white elementary school or all-white high school, as I did, listening to her talk about that situation and walking into the lion's den with nothing but a pencil and a piece of paper is not a great feeling. If you made that walk, look down at the bottom of the screen on the comment page. Let us know you made that walk. We may even interview you with the situation that we're working with the Black High School initiative that we're doing. We need another viewpoint on it. Look down at that comment page to use the words of a young black woman. Me too. I was treated like that. Me too. But I was treated that way at Lebanon High School, Lebanon, Tennessee. I was not left completely blank, and I won't blame anybody other than myself for the academic preparation that I had going to Fisk University. But I will say that some of the things that we have experienced as the first, or one of the first, are quite unique and quite disturbing taken in context. Well, as always, I will close with the quote from the Reverend Dr. Dale P. Andrews, the late Reverend Dr. Dale P. Andrews, who was the chair of homiletics at the Vanderbilt School of Divinity. His words, "I have more questions than answers, more problems than solutions. From these gifts, I freely share." This has been Let's Talk About It, and I am your host, William Head. God bless.